Here's the question, and I'm going to kind of segue into the next quarterback thing we're going to talk about. There's two guys at the top. If you go to Tankathon right now, there are two guys at the top of the quarterback rankings. One is Carson Beck, who in one game this year, 278 yards, 2 touchdowns, 69.7 completion percentage. Shedeur Sanders is number 2, 445 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, 76.5 completion percentage. My question is, and this is kind of with these two, and I agree with you. I think right now I'm sitting 4 quarterbacks I like in the first round. It'll be in no particular order, Beck, Shedeur, Ward, and then that fourth will be like either Quinn Ewers, Jaden Milroe, Jackson Dart, whoever out of those last few kind of performs the highest, obviously, who performs the highest. But the one question that I do have is maybe it's because it's a Georgia quarterback, and we all know how Georgia quarterbacks are. Is there a possibility that Carson Beck is the number 1 quarterback, 4th overall prospect right now, but then by the end of the year, we're looking at it's like, he's just another he's a Stenson Bennett. He's another like product of the system with Georgia, and just the stereotype we get from Georgia, where it's like, there's nothing special about their quarterbacks.
See, I do think Carson Beck is different than previous Georgia quarterbacks. I actually believe he is really skilled.
Okay.
And I believe he is worthy of the top quarterback prospect or top 2 right now. But I do think as we go on this draft season, I do see him falling out of the number 1 spot and maybe even the number 2 spot.
Okay.
Just because, like I feel like Georgia quarterbacks are really good at playing their system. And because, I mean, not that it's a bad thing, but Kirby Smart does what he needs them to do, or I guess, coaches them to do what he needs them to do to win football games.
Yeah.
So it kind of hides their actual skill set. And I could see a world where Cam Ward, let's say, is having a more electrifying season there, where he's throwing for 30 touchdowns and, let's say, 8 interceptions, and like rushing for a couple hundred yards or whatever. And so more eyeballs are going to be on that because it's the flashy prospect. And then you'll look over to see what Carson Beck's doing, and okay, 23 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, but only like 2,000 passing yards. Like, just because, especially with Georgia this year, their running attack is going to be really good.
Yeah, with Travis Etienne.
Yeah.
Not Travis.
Trevor.
Trevor.
Yeah. Yeah, don't mention that one. But
Oh, I know that. All I said is that he's on the team, JD. That's all I'm doing. Not trying to hurt you in episode 1 here of this season.
Yeah. Well, but yeah, no. So I think I'm gonna regret saying this, but yeah, I could see him falling out of the first round.
Out of the first round completely?
I could see it.
Okay.
If we're just calling our shot episode 1, I will say that Carson Beck will fall from anywhere from pick 20 to 35. And that's what I'll say. But it's nothing against him.
I'll match you. He's not going to be the top quarterback by the time we get to draft day.
Yeah.
It's going to be Shedeur. It's going to be Shedeur.
I don't think so.
With the hype around that team, it's going to be Shedeur. However, if it's not Shedeur, the competition's wide open to me. It's Shedeur's to take.
I think with all the BS that's been going on with Shedeur and Dion, I think that's going to rub a lot of teams the wrong way.
I don't think so.
And you say the hype for Colorado. On my end, it's mostly people trolling the shit out of them.
Yeah, fans We don't care what fans are. We care
I'm
what
not
the
saying,
scouts think.
but even with the media is trying to blow smoke up their you know what, and
Yeah, we know
I
how much we could trust the media these days,
well,
JD.
that's what believe me, I'm aware, but
Uh
that's my
huh.
point is you're saying there's all this hype. I don't know who you're saying is hyping this team up because it's uncredible people. Maybe Pat McAfee, which I've already
Hmm.
made my point on not wanting him on College Game Day,
I'll
but
say I'll say this. Maybe hype was the wrong word, but I look at Shedeur, and NFL scouts are obviously going to do their due diligence, but I do not think NFL teams are going to be. There might be a couple that go, "Nah, we don't. I don't want him on my team." For those owners, they're dumb. They are dumb. They are idiots. They are another word that I cannot use because I would get us canceled, and I don't want. I don't want to do that in the Lord's year 2024. But most owners and most GMs will look at Shedeur and go, "Hey, this kid is coachable. He has the talent. He's a guy that I know that like ESPN played it up during the game, like, oh man, he has regular conversations with Tom Brady, and Tom Brady's like a big mentor to him. You might throw that off and say, that's ESPN just trying to make a talking point. But I think there's something there with that, where it's like this is a kid that gets it. He's probably, to me, out of all the quarterbacks in this draft, I would say he probably has the best mind out of all of them because I think he's the only one out of all the quarterbacks in this draft that has the potential to be as good as Brady was, as Patrick Mahomes is. And I'm not saying he's going to be the GOAT. Like Patrick Mahomes right now, we're pretty much like he's the baby GOAT. He gets a couple more Super Bowls, he will be the GOAT. I'm not saying Shedeur is like crown his ass already, but I'm saying he has the potential to be one of the greatest quarterbacks that we have ever seen. The same way we talk about Joe Montana, Brady, Mahomes, all of them, he has the potential to, when everything's said and done, be in that discussion.
see, I think in this draft class he definitely is like either him or Quinn Ewers may have the highest upside.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't think that's saying much because I don't think this year's quarterback class is spectacular.
It's
I
not
think I would have
great.
preferred I think I would have preferred last year or this past year's.
Mm-hmm.
So to say that he has the highest potential in this or he's the closest in this draft class to having a potential like Brady or like Mahomes or the top quarterbacks,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's saying much just because
Really?
this year I don't think that's saying much for this draft class because
Oh, I'm just saying he's the one out of this draft class. The like, if you had to say who you gonna put your money on to pan out in the NFL and have a solid career, I'm putting my money on Shedeur, and it's probably the only one from this draft class right now I'm putting my money on.
see, and then that's kind of where I disagree because I think sure he has a high upside, but I think he also has a very low floor. So I think it's a boom or bust type pick. I think if you want somebody who is the most likely to pan out,
Mm-hmm.
you probably look at somebody
Don't say his
like
name.
like Cam Ward
Okay. Okay. Cool.
or even with like a Quinn Ewers because
Blech.
I think
I
no
don't
because
like
I
Quinn
think
Ewers at all. He's gonna
I think
he's gonna get overshined at some point by Archie Manning, and people are gonna be calling for Arch.
I don't think so because I think Quinn Ewers has a high floor. He may
Mm-hmm.
not have as high of a ceiling, but I would take Ewers probably
So
over Shedeur.
so in a draft pick, you would want a high floor rather than a high ceiling.
Well, I would rather both.
Yeah, but if you had to
Um,
pick one or the other, what are you picking? I'm picking ceiling. I'm looking at the potential. Hey,
it
what can I
depends with the
mold him
pick.
into?
Yeah, but again, it's just okay, well then do you want to bust? Do you want to bust for your first overall pick?
I think you're throwing around the B word already with Shedeur. I think that's asinine.
No,
Like I do not think Shadeur's bustable in any sense.
I see and
He's either going to be a quality quarterback or an amazing quarterback.
I don't like his game as it is right now.
Hmm.
I think his decision making is piss poor to say the least.
That could be fixed.
And he looks like Justin Fields to me, and I said it when Justin Fields was at Ohio State. He relies on his
Justin
athleticism.
Fields.
Yeah, he
He
relies
looks.
on his athleticism way too much.
Hmm.
He can't read a defense,
Hmm.
and that's what I see with Shedeur at the moment. And I think the only reason why he is getting talked about in this light is because of Dion. Like, there are some moments, don't get me wrong, there are some moments where
Hmm.
Shedeur makes very good throws and he looks like a number one overall pick. But I find more often than not, he looks like a day two pick. I think
See,
he has a
I
lot of developing to do.
I don't I don't disagree with you in the fact that he does have developing to do. All of these guys have
Yeah.
developing to do. But the thing I will say, you bring up Justin Fields, and I just want to do 2 seconds of research here because the Bears now, like this year, Bears are not the same as they were when Fields came in. So Fields was drafted 2021, 11th overall by the Bears. I believe they moved up to get him.
Yeah.
His coach was Matt Nagy. So Matt Nagy, he was in the last year of Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy's time was already like spent. Like it was like, you know what? It ain't working out here. Then he had Eberflus. Whenever you get a turnover of coach, new system, I just think with Justin Fields, first off, is Shedeur better than Justin Fields? Absolutely. Two, I think Justin Fields was put in a piss poor situation because he was never, to me, he was one where it's like, hey, you should sit a year. He should be going through the Michael Penix experience, the Drake May experience. Hey, we're
That's
gonna
what I
let you
said at the
sit a
time.
year. He didn't have that. He's like, hey,
No.
he's getting thrown out there right away, playing 12 games for the Bears in his
Yeah.
first year.
But again, so that's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Because again, I said it at the time, he
Yeah.
should have sat a year.
Yep.
But it's the problem of even with this him not sitting, he didn't develop. He was the same, almost the same player
How much of
for
that do you put
3
on the
years.
Bears, though?
Obviously, you have to put some,
Mm-hmm.
but some also has to fall on the prospect. The
Yeah.
prospect can't just be, what's the word? He can't just escape
Yeah.
free
Let
from.
like Johnny Manziel. Johnny
Yeah,
Manziel didn't develop because he never opened his iPad. That's his
no,
fault.
but
But like I
it was
do
also
think
the
with Justin
Browns.
Fields, it was like maybe a little bit on him, but a lot of bit. I put more
Yeah,
onus on Eberflus. I put
the
more of it on Matt Nagy because really he was the one to like, this is my guy, and then Eberflus came in and it's
well,
like, hey, I'm trying to get this system. I'm trying to understand what I'm gonna do with this team.
see, the thing is, I don't even really blame Fields.
Mm-hmm.
I blame the draft media. I blame
Mm-hmm.
people blowing up Fields because Fields didn't start off as that type of prospect. He built his way there,
Mm-hmm.
but and then through the combine as well. But even if you were like an Ohio State fan, you would have basically said what I said and
Mm-hmm.
what you saw from watching his film because that was the one prospect where I was super confident in. And
Mm-hmm.
granted, this was like 3, 4 years ago when I was still pretty new to scouting,
Yeah.
and he was my like one of the only players at the time that I did a full deep dive in. I
Mm-hmm.
watched every single game
Yeah.
of his, and I'm like, I don't see what everyone else is seeing. And then I watched other like YouTube
Mm-hmm.
scouting guys, and they
Mm-hmm.
basically confirmed what I had thought.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't blame him per se. Because I don't want to say he wasn't putting in the work, but I think he just got overblown as a prospect, and then that led to him getting drafted higher.
You're talking about
And
Fields.
yeah, Fields.
See here's the difference I see. I see with Shedeur and I'm not trying to say Fields wasn't this. Maybe Fields is more like this now. But I look at Shedeur, and I think he's very coachable. And I think that he is not going to have that big head of like, oh, the media is popping me up. I'm going to get a big head. Because he's going to, like, his dad is there right now to keep, like, hey, don't listen to the outside voices. You got to do what you got to do every single day. And it all depends. I'm going to say this once, say it again. You agree with me? Shedeur's got to end up in the right situation. If he ends up, it's like CJ Stroud, right? CJ Stroud has the mentals, has the work ethic, has the mind to be a quarterback in this league, and he ended up with one of the best coaches in my mind. I was huge on DeMeco Ryan when he got hired with the Texans. He ended up in a perfect situation for him. And what did it do? Instant success year one.
Yeah, I mean, again, I like Stroud coming out, but I disagree about the mental aspect of the game for him.
For Stroud?
Yeah,
You don't think he's got the right attitude? He's
brother,
very
you know who his two
coachable?
idols are?
What?
His two in the draft process, he said his two idols were Michael Vick and Massage Watson. So,
I
I
mean,
mean, I mean,
just
great
because those are
play.
your idols doesn't mean you're going to be bad. Doesn't mean you're going to be exactly like them. I'm talking more mental of like Stroud seems like a coachable guy.
Yeah, you see,
He
I'm
takes,
more
he
so
adjusts, he
making a
think
joke.
like yeah.
I'm more so making a joke, but
Mm-hmm.
I really thought that was a questionable thing to say in your draft interview.
So then with Shedeur, you should be really high because his is Tom Brady.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is Tom Brady. One thing I will say to get a little bit away from Shedeur, this is the point I wanted to make with bringing back to Carson Beck. Do you want to know the last Georgia quarterback that was like a solid NFL player? It's not that hard.
Georgia quarterback.
Yeah, it's not that. He's still in the league. He's been in the league for a while. He's a Super Bowl champion. He's playing this year for the Rams.
Matthew Stafford?
Yeah, Since Matthew Stafford in
I
2008.
didn't even know he went to Georgia.
Yep, he was a Georgia quarterback in 2008, drafted number 1 overall. You want to know the litany of Georgia quarterbacks since Matthew Stafford? You ready for this?
Yeah.
2009, Joe Cox.
Wasn't Trace McSorley one of them?
No,
Oh.
he was Penn State.
Oh.
Yeah, Swirls. Aaron Murray in 2010. Remember Aaron Murray with Rick Reich? Aaron Murray in 2011. Aaron Murray in 2012, 2013. So he basically started from a freshman. Hudson Mason in 2014. Grayson Lambert in 2016. Or I'm sorry, 2015. 2016 was Jacob Eason.
Yep.
Then you had Jake Fromm in 2017 and 2018 and 2019. Then you had JT Daniels and Stetson Bennett dual quarterbacking in 2020. You then had Stetson Bennett in 2021, Stetson Bennett in 2022, and then Carson Beck in 2023.
You mean 2024?
And 2024. I stopped before this year because he's obviously the quarterback this year.
Yeah.
But like, how many of those quarterbacks were like, woo, NFL guys? You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying. But they all had decent college careers because of the system.
Yes, and
obviously
the question is, will Beck be Stafford or will Beck be everybody else?
Who was Georgia's coach before Kirby Smart?
Oh, it was Rick Reich, I believe.
Was it?
I believe so. Bulldogs football head coach. Yeah, I think it was Rick. I think it was Rick Reich was right. Or Mark. I'm not Rick Reich. I'm sorry, Mark Richt. That's who I'm thinking of.
Oh, yeah.
He went to Miami, I think, after. So 2015, did Kirby Smart take over in 2015, or was there someone in between?
Dang. Messaging.
Yeah. So Kirby Smart took over 2016. Mark Richt, that's who I was thinking of. 2001 to 2015. And then he went to the U for 2016, 2017, 2018. Ooh, got a little bit of the hiccups right there, JD. Don't know where that came from. Ooh. But yeah, Mark Reich, or Rich. I'm butchering this name. It's Richt. I think it's Rich. I liked him too as their head coach. But to put a button on it, I think Shedeur will be ranked higher than Beck at the end of the year. If you had to predict who's higher, Beck or Shedeur at the end of the year?
Shedeur.
All right. As always, we'd like to thank the people that make these videos possible, our patrons whose names are displayed on the screen now. If you would like to become a patron, go ahead and click the Patreon icon in the bottom right. And if you'd like to check out another video from MVP Sports, hit the video in the upper left. As always, thanks for watching.